All right, now joining us, I believe, from the greater Milwaukee area in the state of Wisconsin. His fight week is underway. He's UFC welterweight contender Belal Muhammad. I can't believe it has taken this long for us to get someone as entertaining and as talented a mixed martial artist on the air. My man Belal, are you there?
What's up, man? Man, I've been waiting, man. We've been talking about Remember the Segment for years, man. Now you guys finally do it.
We're trying to get you your own show on like the Anik and Florian podcast YouTube channel. So that's probably a conversation for another day. We don't want to just give you your own segment. Like we want to build a show around you because of all your value. But it is good to have you on the show with us. So how's the fight week going so far, and when are you heading to Vegas?
Yeah, man, it's going good. Basically just packing up right now, leaving out tomorrow. It's funny, the UFC sent me tickets a while ago, and I didn't even know I didn't pay attention to them. But then they messaged me Friday, hey, do you care if we switch your 6 a.m. flight to a 1 p.m. flight? And I was like, I didn't even know my first flight was 6 a.m., but yeah, switch it. I was like, I'm not trying to go at 6 a.m. in the morning. Well, I couldn't wait.
All right, so this Saturday night, you can see Belal face Lyman Good on the main card for UFC Fight Night. You can see it live on ESPN, also on ESPN+. So this fight, of course, was supposed to happen in April, but your opponent, Lyman Good, got COVID-19. And I feel like I saw you were maybe briefly linked to some other matchups. What have the last few months been like for you overall?
Man, during that April card, that was the weirdest 2 weeks ever. Because he pulled out, and then they're like, all right, we're going to get your opponent. And then they were throwing out names to me like Frank Camacho, Rocco Martin. And then I'm just saying yes to anybody. So I'm like, yeah, I don't really care, just as long as I'm on the card. But then you're sitting there worrying about not having an opponent. Then you have to worry about, is the card even going to go through? And then every day people are messaging you like, hey, we don't see you on the card. And then my manager's like, no, you're going to be on it for sure. And then all of a sudden the whole card gets canceled. And it was kind of like a relief that the whole card got canceled, because I was like, I don't want to sit there and while you're cutting weight, and then the whole stress of, man, are they going to cancel the day of? Are they not going to have it the day of? And then the whole thing was just crazy, man. But I'm glad we're back and moving now. We're going. All these cards are going through now. So I'm like, all right, now we can start getting back to normal work.
Belal, how do you see this fight? Where do you see yourself having the advantages, and what do you need to do to get the win here?
I feel like I have the advantages everywhere, honestly. People are always going to say that, oh, this guy has power and he's a great striker, and you have to be careful there. But for me, I feel like I can compete with everybody everywhere. I feel like I can strike with the best strikers or grapple with the best grapplers. And for me, you have to be willing to do all those things to get to the ranked opponents and get to the top. And I feel like I'm getting to that level now. And with him, he's got a big name. He's coming off a big knockout. So there's always different avenues to get the win. For me, I'm just going to have to pressure him and break him. I know that he got a lot of muscle on him, so that muscle needs a lot of oxygen. So I'm going to sit there and push that oxygen levels to the test.
And I also wanted to get your thoughts on the recent championship fight in your division that was announced between Gilbert Burns and Kamaru Usman. What did you think about the way that went down, and how do you see that fight going?
Honestly, I feel like Gilbert deserves it more than anybody, honestly, with the people he beat. He beat the number one guy in Woodley pretty dominantly, and he beat Maia, who was one of the most dangerous guys in the division, pretty dominantly, knocking him out. I mean, you could make a case for Leon Edwards' streak, but still, he hasn't really beat nobody really that great. He beat RDA last, but RDA lost 4 out of his last 5, and then he beat Gunnar Nelson before that, and Gunnar hasn't been the same. So still, I feel like even though Gilbert's only been in the division for 2 years, he's being a higher level guy than Leon and George Masvidal. I don't think Masvidal just came off a dominant performance against Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz ain't no really. Nate Diaz is in the rankings because of his name. He's not in the rankings because of his skill. I feel like there's about 5 or 6 guys in the top 10 that'll beat him pretty easily if they fought. But for me, I think Gilbert deserves it, and I feel like, man, that's gonna be a crazy fight just because they're both teammates and they both know each other pretty well. So if Usman's gonna come out there and try to wrestle with him, because he's obviously dealt with him on the ground during practice and stuff like that. So is he going to be afraid of the ground game, or is he going to know little tweaks and stuff that'll be able to hold him against the fence in different ways to make him tired and push him to the limit? Because, I mean, Gilbert gassed a couple times in the fights before that were short notice. But against Woodley, he really didn't have to get pushed where you have to test his gas. Like, he looked good for 5 rounds, but it was him doing all the pushing and him staying in charge. Usman's not going to give him that chance to stay in charge. Usman's usually the guy that sets the pace. So it's going to be interesting. But for me right now, I feel like Gilbert got it just because I feel like he's going to come out there swinging bombs, and he's not afraid to get taken down. So I feel like he ends up catching him.
Wow. So we've seen a lot of lightweights moving up to your division, right? Gilbert Burns, of course, Dos Anjos, Chiesa, Pettis, Conor McGregor, and Nate Diaz at times being ranked at 70. So, like, if I'm on Team Muhammad, and you know I'm on your team, Belal, I mean, these guys are taking your rankings at times, maybe taking a high-profile fight that could have come your way. You've won 6 of 7. You've basically been perfect other than the Jeff Neal fight for 3 years. I mean, don't you feel like in some respects, like you don't have a number next to your name because there's been this influx of 55ers moving up?
Yeah, exactly, man. Just guys with just names, and they're really not fighting real 170-pounders. Like, okay, Anthony's the only legit one that beat a Wonder Boy. Right. And then after that, you're giving him Cerrone, who's been at 55er most of his time, and he hasn't really beat any big 70-pounders. And then McGregor comes up there, fights Cerrone too, and all of a sudden he gets ranked because of that. But they're like just beating guys based off a name, so it's really not doing nothing for me. So for me, I don't really care. Like, you're gonna have to beat the best guys anyway to get that title shot. It's like I'm not in this game to be like, oh, I got ranked. Where I feel like most of these guys are now, where, oh, I got a number next to my name. That was my goal, to get a number next to my name. My goal is not to get a number next to my name and to get stuck there. Where these guys are getting a number next to their name, they're sitting out. Oh, I don't want to lose my number, so I don't want to lose my shot. Like Michael Chiesa sitting out, not fighting, choosing not to fight. Oh, I don't want to fight Jeff Neal. I don't want to fight below me. But for me, if you're the best in the world, you really deserve that number. You're going to fight anybody that's in front of you, and you have to get to the title shot. The only way to get to the title shot is building up fights, and I feel like that's what Gilbert's doing, where I don't care who it is, when it is, I'm fighting. And all right, he fought 2 unranked guys, and then bam, he gets a big fight against Maya, and bam, he gets a fight against Woodley, and then bam, he's fighting for the title. So all it really takes is a little momentum, a little good streak, and a little luck with just staying ready and being ready, willing to say yes no matter what. And I feel like now with there being cards every week, I feel like there's going to be a lot more pullouts and a lot more guys that aren't able to train the right way, and they're going to be getting injured, cutting weight on short notice quick, and that's when I step in and steal their ranking.
That's right. 11th UFC appearance for Belal Muhammad this weekend. He joins us here on the Anik and Florian podcast. So you've won 6 of 7, as I mentioned, after a 1-2 start in the UFC. And I call you a contender, whether there's a number next to your name or not. But how would you assess the body of UFC work that you've put on paper and on film thus far?
I feel like I'm growing every fight. I feel like I've fought some big names in the division, some really tough guys, more so than a lot of these guys, even ranked guys that have fought. Like, I've beaten Randy Brown, Tim Means, Jordan Main. These guys all have a huge track record of being legit in the 170-pound weight class. And for me, it's usually guys that I fight are usually winning after I beat them. So I like it that way when I know that my opponents are good and they're actually beating other guys. I don't like to beat a guy and then, 2 fights later they're getting cut. I'd rather have it where I'm fighting tough guys and I beat them a certain way. I make it look easy. Then all of a sudden they're coming out back up on a 3-fight winning streak. Like Randy Brown is looking like a monster lately, and he's calling for big fights too. So I like the way it's going. I like the route I'm going. I feel like after this fight Saturday and the performance I'm going to put on, I feel like they're going to be giving me bigger fights. And especially now with, like you've seen with Jessica Ai and Cynthia Calvillo, where you didn't expect that to be a main event. But I feel like I could get to that level too, where, all right, we need a main event for this card right here. I'm willing to step up. I would love to do a 5-round or test myself in the 5-round range.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense as a next pivot for you after this Lyman Good fight. I want to ask you about your dad's store. As anyone who follows you on social media knows, your dad's store was looted and destroyed during the recent protests. Any update on how your dad's doing and whether or not the store might be able to be salvaged?
The store is probably not going to be salvaged, but my dad's good. You know, he's one of those super positive guys where it's always like, everything happens for a reason. There was a reason behind it. And then my dad's at the age now where we don't want him even working anyway. He's just that old school guy where he'll just get up and just go to work, not taking a day off for about the last 10 years. So it's pretty funny seeing him actually being home, not going to work early in the morning, coming home late. So, I mean, in a way, it's a good thing. But it's just one of those where, he built it up from scratch on his own. And that's one of his things. He wanted to pass it on to his kids, not have it go out like this. But like a thing, man, everything happens for a reason for us. There's going to be bigger things happening. And I feel like other doors are going to open based off of it. It just gives us different outlooks and different ways of looking at making money. And, all right, now we can try this now. Or we don't have to be stuck here anymore. We can move or do something here.
Right. That's a positive outlook if I ever heard one. All right, a couple more things just quickly on the Lyman Good fight, and then we'll let you fly. The 25-foot Octagon versus the 30-foot Octagon. I know you've had teammates compete recently, Gerald Mershard in Las Vegas. I couldn't find a fight of yours in the UFC, maybe the Joban fight. Have you competed in the smaller Octagon in the UFC or not?
No, I haven't competed in that. But it's funny because we actually train in a smaller cage. So
right.
I'm training in a smaller cage at all times, no matter what. So I feel like I'm going to be used to it already, and I'm going to get a good feel for it. And honestly, I feel like it's more of a positive thing for me because if I want to sit there and grapple or wrestle, I'm going to push him against the fence. It's going to be a lot smaller.
Right. Yeah. Some people think it favors grapplers. Others are adamant it favors the striker. But yeah, I think for your style and for the matchup, it might be something that you can use to your benefit. All right. Couple rapid fire questions on the way out here with the great Belal Muhammad. You got 3 title fights at UFC 251. Usman Burns, Volkanovski Holloway, and Petr Yan against Jose Aldo. Of those 6, who is the biggest lock in your mind to win on July 11th?
To me, it's Holloway. I feel like he's one of the best ever to ever do it, and I feel like he's going to come back after that last fight. He didn't lose by that much, a little tweaks here and there, and I feel like he's going to come back and win.
All right, your next fight after Lyman Good, I'm going to throw out 3 names, and you tell me if you had to pick one of these 3, who you fighting next? Neil Magny, Platinum Mike Perry, or Eliseo Zaleski dos Santos?
Neil Magny, he's the one ranked.
I knew that was coming. Yeah. Easy dos Santos. I know you guys had a fight at one point that went away, so I thought that'd be one that I would like to see. But I think the Magny fight, if you get by Lyman, makes a lot of sense. All right, and then last question, true or false? You already have your call out ready in the event that you actually get past Lyman this weekend.
True.
Of course you do. Of course you do. All right, well, we are hoping that the Remember the Segment pre-fight show is going to be coming to Anik and Florian podcast on YouTube at some point in the not-too-distant future. But obviously, we've all enjoyed what you've been putting out there on social media. I know you're handicapping all of these fights. And more importantly than all of that, I think you're one of the best welterweights in the world, and we're excited to watch you compete this weekend. I know it's been a trying 2 months, but Ramadan, of course, is in the rearview mirror, and we wish you all the best with the fight this weekend, my man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, man. If you guys want to cut that Ray Longo minute to like half a minute and then put the other half, would be cool.
Belal, good luck, man.
All right, thank you, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Belal, remember the name Muhammad. And it's hard, Ken Flo, in these divisions, 35, 45, 55, 70. Jeff Neal is the only man, right, who has beaten Belal in the last 3 years. That was 18 months ago. Jeff Neal's trying to get a fight against somebody in that top 5. And it's 18 months later, right? There just is not a lot of margin for error in these divisions. And when Belal lost to Jeff Neal, it amounted to a 2-year setback. I don't care what anybody says.
Right. No, and that's the thing. Listen, as much as I'm a big proponent of the 155-pound division, the welterweight division is no joke either. It is absolutely stacked. And I think I might change my pick to Belal Muhammad. He sounds like he's in good spirits.
Yeah.
He obviously has a lot of great experience. I think he continues to improve. And yeah, I think I just might change it to Belal. But we'll talk. Yeah.
We'll talk off air. And Ramadan, too. This year it was April 23rd to May 23rd. And I think a lot of athletes can't even wrap their head around what it would be like to engage in a training camp where you couldn't eat or drink from dawn to dusk. And this fight with Lyman Good was supposed to happen April 18th and be done 5 days before Ramadan began. And, of course, the bulk of this training camp and this quarantine, Belal has spent not eating or drinking from dawn to dusk. So